This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Ring the Bell Podcast.
I give up. I give up on trying. Try to make things look nice, and there's always something wrong in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So
You should have just said that was the intention, trying something new.
obviously,
Everybody would like, oh,
yeah.
this is novel.
Your mic is really quiet. Why is your mic so quiet?
Because you're always trying to silence me.
Are you just quiet today? Are you
I-
are you whispering to me?
You like treating me like a Palestinian.
That's true. How's everybody doing out there? It is a Monday night. It's one of the Monday nights that we're actually here. So we're here.
Stars have aligned.
This is the Break the Bell podcast, and I'm glad you made it. If you made it, if you didn't make it, try again next time. I guess
They're here. They're here.
they're here in spirit.
Yes.
This week, stuff happened. You sent so you're so bad at help. You're so unhelpful.
You didn't say what kind of help you were looking for.
You are the most unhelpful person ever. So you text me, you're like, "Hey, what are your ideas for tonight?" And I had no time to even think about it at that point. I had a wedding over the weekend.
Yeah.
Then today was just busy with work, and I'm like, I don't know. You got any ideas? And so you just send me like every news article that you could find. Like,
Only the interesting ones.
here's some ideas.
Yeah.
50 articles
Yeah.
later, it's just like, gee, thanks for narrowing it down. It's like, Bill, I could have done that myself. Just type news and just read articles. But I did run into a couple interesting ones out of the many
See?
that you sent me.
See?
So
I didn't know what you were
kinda
feeling.
worked
If
out.
you were feeling a little Israel, a little Ukraine,
I'm
a little
always-
Hunter.
Isn't everybody feeling a little Hunter?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we are going to talk a little bit of Israel and a little bit of Ukraine, at least. That is really loud ice.
Sorry.
Jesus
It's a
Christ.
bad habit.
Act like you haven't been doing this for like 3 years.
Almost
So-
4 years.
Netanyahu may have an arrest warrant out for him, from what I'm told, from what I gather. I don't know what I think about this.
Yeah.
Like, I have mixed thoughts about this because, as you know, I am certainly not pro-Israel. I'm
Right.
not pro-Palestine. But I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not one of these like, whoa, we fight for Israel.
Right.
We got their back no matter what because Jesus said so.
Right. Yeah.
I don't. That's not me.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of
We've had that
conveyed
conversation. Yeah.
We conveyed it a few times, and the fact that if you don't support what's going on over there right now, you're obviously an anti-Semite
Right.
and might as well be literally Hitler.
Right.
So don't support that. But then on the other hand, when I see Netanyahu may have an arrest warrant from some international court,
Right.
I'm like, what else is going on here? Should I be on Netanyahu's side in all of this?
Right.
Because I don't know, there's something at play here.
Yeah.
And I think I had predicted about a year ago, before even the Israel Gaza stuff kicked off again
Right,
officially.
right.
Just like there's some weird shift towards Israel, specifically towards Netanyahu. They're labeling him like
Right.
a freaking nationalist, super what do they call him? He was like a hard right, like fanatic
Yeah.
type when he came back in power. And I'm just like, they're going to push not necessarily against Israel because they can't push against Israel,
Right.
but they're going to push Netanyahu out. I
Mhm.
see it coming. And then this happens, and it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, maybe like here it comes.
Yeah.
like who had a hand in that?
Right. Little NED action going on.
Yeah, maybe something like that. That Biden's had his supposedly Biden's had his rift with
Right.
Netanyahu,
And Obama definitely did.
Obama definitely did, but they say Biden's like putting his firm foot down with Netanyahu. Biden doesn't have firm
Yeah, I was
feet.
gonna say he doesn't have a firm anything.
Biden's wife literally has to escort him places.
I saw that they have like walkers to walk alongside him.
Yeah.
So
I
you
saw that
can't
one
see
too.
him kind of like
Limp,
Yeah.
doing his old man shuffle.
Yeah.
There was a scene last week or late last week, early yesterday. I don't remember. I saw a video. It was him talking to wounded warriors. He's
Okay.
talking to a group of wounded warriors, giving this rah-rah speech or whatever, saying how he supports them. His wife comes and turns him around because the wounded warriors were over here, not over there where he was talking. And then he
Oh.
literally goes off the same script he just said and repeats it over to them. And
All
it's just
facing
like,
them.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Did you see when his gaffe last week where he literally said the word pause that was on the teleprompter?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He's like
You
Ron
sent that to
Burgundy.
me.
He's
Yeah.
like Ron Burgundy. He's like, pause. And then he laughs it off. She's like, oh yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yeah,
It's
right,
just my jocularity kicking in. No, you're a dumbass, and you literally read the word pause on the teleprompter.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's reading a teleprompter because he's always like this when he's talking.
Yeah.
Like squinting to see the teleprompter. It's bad. It's really freaking bad. And I don't know how I got on this topic. Oh, because him and
Not affirm anything.
yeah, not affirm anything against Netanyahu, but the people that are holding him up have a some sort of issue with Netanyahu,
Well,
which makes me think, is this guy the bad guy?
Right.
because I'm always against what they're telling us to be for, and I'm always a little more, I want to say for what they're telling us to be against, but I'm like, maybe we should look at that because they're telling us very hard not to be for that. So I'm going to look at that and see what that's all about.
Right.
So I feel like there's some kind of conspiracy going on with this Netanyahu arrest thing.
But when it comes to these world leaders, whenever somebody comes in that they want to label a nationalist, a conservative, right wing,
right?
That's somebody that the globalists have marked for like, okay, we got to get rid of him, right, and then they send in the NED or whoever, or they find a way to bring him up in charge. For all we know, these guys had Palestine go in just so Bibi could bomb the shit out of them, so they could be like, look, this guy's got to go.
Hey, sounds familiar,
right?
Look at freaking Saddam Hussein,
right?
Saddam Hussein. They're like, that's what you guys do between you two Middle Eastern countries, we don't care about. And then he's like, okay, and he goes and attack. Who was it? Kuwait. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, you can't do that. And then they ultimately led to him getting hung 20 years later. But I don't know if that's going to happen to Bibi, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So we got that to talk about tonight. I got a little bit of Ukraine to talk about. It's not going to take too long. We've spent way too much time, too much taxpayer dollars on Ukraine. So I don't want to spend as much time there. I mean, not like we haven't spent too many taxpayer dollars in Israel either, but I'm more interested in what's going on in Israel right now and with this International Criminal Court. And so I want to spend quite a bit of time on that, and then we'll hit up some of the Ukraine stuff near the end. So got that to look forward to. Always the international money laundering wars that have the most stories to talk about. Hunter Biden's back in the news.
Yes.
He's suing Fox News for slander, I guess.
Yeah, apparently the revenge porn clause is what he's going after.
The revenge porn clause. What does that even mean?
Basically saying that they released private videos of him.
Oh, because of his freaking hookers and cocaine and stuff. And they're saying that was he's literally using the revenge porn clause. Wow, that is
yeah. That's
a loose translation.
Yeah, right.
that's a loose.
It's not like they're like Fox is his ex, right? And is pissed at him.
I don't know. Maybe
hitting up Russian hookers.
That's bizarre. So we're not going to talk about that, but that's out there too. There's a lot of shit going on in the world, and we can only get so much shit to talk about in one show. Maybe if we did a show more often, maybe we'd get to more of the stories. But shit happens.
Shit happens. And it's baseball season.
Exactly. It's baseball season. We're going to get right into this intro video. And when we come back, we're going to talk about these potential arrest warrants with Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders, which is bizarre to me. Yeah. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listening to me? Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
All right, we're back. I don't know. What is your take on international law? Like, governing bodies with jurisdiction over sovereign countries.
I have a problem with it, mostly because every country has its own culture, has its own history. So to try to put a uniform law over all these countries, I think you're preventing third world countries from growing, and you're preventing other countries from like getting together and actually communicating and trading without creating major problems. Right.
Now, obviously, there's the issue, like you said, this overarching like governing body that's telling each country what to do, and those countries are telling each state what to do. Each state's telling what local government what to do, and the local government's telling all the people. Obviously, the less governing bodies, the better. From my standpoint as a libertarian, local level is best. I do somewhat support like local government in a way. But the higher up you get, first of all, the more fucking corrupt it gets.
Right. Yeah.
Second of all, like you said, now I understand like certain things. Like I understand how we can all come to agreement of what genocide is.
Right.
I mean, some of us can't apparently.
Right. Yeah. Right. Some are like, well, but they're not real people.
Yeah.
So
it's not genocide because they started it. Yeah. Some of us. But now I can come to like an overarching agreement that like crimes against humanity, specific like freaking child sex slavery, or like I said, genocide, or specific war crimes like, I don't know, like
rape.
What's that?
Rape,
I guess, would probably fall into there, maybe, depending on your culture. I guess. I don't know. But there are things that I think we can, as humanity, should just be like the laws of nature.
Yeah.
Like, don't wipe out entire cultures.
Yeah.
Like, don't rape little children, and don't. I don't know. There's a few things that I don't necessarily know that we need a governing body to regulate that.
Right.
But I think it's like policing your own. Right. Like, for example, I agree if you are a member of an allied group like such as NATO, or part of like the UN, or part of whatever all these other treaties are, that you guys have your own group of rules. In order to be part of that treaty, you have to abide by these rules. And if you don't, we put consequences on you or we kick you out. One of the two. I'm not saying that I agree with NATO or the UN or anything like that. I'm saying if you want to be part of that, I have no problem with them incorporating their own overarching rules over your country. That's like, you want to be part of us, this is how you'll conduct yourself. This is how you will trade with one another. This is how you will conduct war with one another. Those kinds of things. If not, we don't support you anymore and get the fuck out. Right. I mean, that's just any organization. You want to be part of the organization, you follow the rules. Right. There is no organization that's like, I don't see any organization that's just like international organization. You all follow our rules.
Yeah. You don't have a choice. You live on this planet. It's our rules.
But as far as policing your own, every country for the most part has allies. Right. If you see your fellow ally country committing atrocities, you should be able to go in and like be like, dude, you're done. Like we'll sanction our own allies and or we'll insist that you take out your freaking leader or whatever. There's things that can be done. Yeah, there's things that can be done without having the international law in place. Again, policing your own. Yeah. Derek says, "Don't worry, I'm here." Derek, I was fucking worried.
I knew you were going to show up, Derek.
He would.
I knew you would.
But it took a while. And I was like,
it did.
Dude, what did we do?
He's fashionably late.
He is. He's like, you know what? Screw these guys. Now, like you were saying, when it comes to total international law, different cultures have different sets of values. Right. I get that sometimes you can't use culture as a crutch for atrocities. I get that. Yeah. But different cultures have different sets of values. And when it comes to international law, who do you think has, like, which culture do you think influences that the most, the international laws? Right. Is it the lowly African cultures?
Right. No.
With the least amount of money being poured into it? Or do you think it's like the European and like Western cultures that are flooding it with all this, like, I don't know, it'd just be like lobbying, basically, I would think.
It's like when Trump, tried to pull the U.S. out of the WHO, and then China comes in and is like, hey, we got this. No worries.
Right. The most money influences the international law. Yeah. It's not necessarily, hey, this is just the laws of nature. No, this is the laws of money speaking. Yeah. So we don't like what you're doing. Money talks. These people that have the loudest whisper in our ears are saying that you committed an atrocity and we're going to come and prosecute you or whatever. And on top of that, what if your country just decides, I don't recognize you as the international law. We don't fall under your jurisdiction. Do they still have the right to come in and be like, well, it doesn't matter. You're going to do what we say. We're going to arrest you or what have you. Yeah. I understand there's different bodies of international law. There's the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. And this one that is bringing charges against Bibi is the International Criminal Court. On one hand, you have the International Court of Justice, which is a branch of the UN that can say, you know what, the way your country is handling that country, that's wrong. The International Criminal Court, on the other hand, it's like an individual. They can put out arrest warrants for specific individuals that committed war crimes or whatever, or contributed to war crimes. And it's like, does that country have to comply? Right. It's like, we have a warrant for your arrest. It's like,
yeah, right. So,
all right. I mean, like, of all these international laws, obviously a lot of countries don't follow them, or they want, like, if they come down and they're like, we find you guilty of this atrocity. All right, fuck you. You're not our freaking, you have no jurisdiction here.
Right.
And then what? Then what happens?
Yeah. Be like, well, then we're going to sanction you. Right.
All right.
We're going to,
look how well that's worked for Russia.
Well, I know.
Has Russia really bent too much?
Right. They're like, you know what? We're just going to go with our own money and not worry about you guys.
Derek says his kid didn't have practice today, and he was actually getting things done around the house. Damn it. Derek, you're making us all look bad because I'm not getting shit done around my house. Said, looked at my phone and saw the YouTube alert.
Nice.
Thank God for YouTube alerts.
Yes.
So, if your country doesn't recognize international law, what if your allies do, though? Can they pressure you to abide by?
Absolutely.
It's just, there's so much weird power dynamic when it comes to international law. And I feel like it can be abused.
Yeah.
Just slightly, just like any other government body.
Yeah.
When it comes to international level, it's kind of like what we say with the WF. The WF's like, you know what? We're making policies worldwide. It's just like, I don't agree with that. It's like, get on board or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's like
we don't send our leaders to your grand gala, at the nice hotel because we can't afford it.
Right. Exactly. So Netanyahu, we just found out, Bibi, this is why we're talking about international law, obviously. Bibi was just, or could be, he hasn't been served it yet, but potentially could be served arrest warrants
they're
by
expecting it.
The International Criminal Court. So I'm going to pull this up. This is from the internet, Washington Examiner.
And the internet.
This is from the internet, yes. Let's see if I can get this blow up. I can't read that small. Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, could be served arrest warrants this week from the International Criminal Court on charges related to the country's military campaign in Gaza. There's a lot there in that sentence.
Yeah.
First of all, this standing president could be arrested by an international criminal court on charges that he may have potentially committed genocide or war crimes or something. However, the United States refused it. Like how many accounts get like freaking flagged for saying that Israel's committing genocide?
Right.
Like you can't say that stuff.
Yeah.
Who was it? What was that chick's name that got kicked off of Ben Shapiro's show?
Oh, Candace Owens.
I forget her name every week. Candace Owens didn't even say they committed genocide.
Yeah.
She was just like,
she asked the question.
Yeah, she just asked a question like, would this be or like, would we allow like something? She just used the word genocide, referencing somebody, and she got kind of shunned from that circle of people. So, but the International Court, Criminal Court, has come out in charge, or maybe charging Bibi for the same things. So I want to know how that's going to play out, first of all.
Yeah.
Because I also know, and we'll talk more about this, I want to, again, get a little more deeper into the difference between the ICJ and the ICC. The ICJ is investigating genocide charges against Israel right now. So on one hand, you have the one investigation against the country. On the other hand, you have criminal investigations against multiple individuals, multiple leaders of Israel right now. So it says Israeli and other foreign officials reportedly believe Hamas leaders face arrest warrants too. Not too many people are talking about that part of it because the ICC is also investigating what happened on, was it October 7th? The worst day since 9/11. The ICC has not confirmed its plans, but senior officials in the Israeli government are growing increasingly concerned that the warrants will be issued, according to multiple reports. Netanyahu, in particular, is terrified and abnormally stressed, per the Israeli newspaper Maariv.
He looks stressed.
That is terrified and stressed looking there. So he's absolutely terrified of this, which I find odd.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in a second, why I find that odd, that he would be terrified about this. It says the prime minister has reportedly been speaking frequently on the phone to prevent such an outcome, with the Biden administration among those with whom he has spoken. While President Joe Biden and Netanyahu have had their rifts, Biden has been steadfast in his support for Israel. Now, listen there. It says steadfast in his support for Israel, not steadfast in his support for Netanyahu, who is individually having charges against him. The ICC has been investigating Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, where about 1,200 people were killed and hundreds more were taken hostage. The organization has also been investigating Israel's response in Gaza, where more than 30,000 Palestinians have died, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry.
Well, of course, Hamas is going to say that.
Well, yeah, but it's probably true. It's probably
more than that.
Probably. On Friday, Netanyahu said any decision by the ICC would not affect Israel's actions, but could set off a dangerous precedent. Now, firstly, on one hand, they're saying he's terrified. On the other hand, he's like, that's not going to stop me.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to keep doing what we're doing, bitches.
Yeah.
But I'm terrified.
Yeah.
He says, under my leadership, Israel will never accept any attempts by the International Criminal Court in the Hague to undermine its basic right to defend itself. I love how they keep throwing that phrase out there. Like, how many people have to die in your basic right to defend yourself?
That's going to be his defense all the way.
Yes, he's good. It's his hill to die on. Maybe quite literally. While decisions made by the court in The Hague will not affect Israel's actions, they will set a dangerous precedent that threatens soldiers and public figures. In other words, it threatens him personally.
Right.
That's what he's concerned about. It's not the soldiers he's concerned about. Right. It's like, well, they can do this. They could arrest just one soldier. Like, do you want them coming and arresting your soldiers and public officials? In other words, me. He's only concerned about him.
Yeah.
You know, he's only concerned about himself. He doesn't give a shit if they come arrest the soldiers.
Right.
Neither Israel nor the United States is a member of the court based in the Netherlands.
No.
So that's what I find interesting.
Yeah.
They're not a part of it. The only countries that fall under its jurisdiction are the countries that are members of the International Criminal Court.
Does it say what countries are a member of the International Criminal Court?
There's a lot of, there's like 120 something
allies of ours, I assume.
Probably. So he's terrified, but they're not members of this court. So I'm just like, on one hand, I just want to be like, fuck it. We don't recognize you.
We don't recognize your law.
Yeah, our country doesn't. I'll just stay right here. But on the other hand, I guess if he were to travel to an allied country, he could potentially be arrested.
Yeah.
So there is that kind of dynamic there, but it's still weird that he's just like utterly terrified. Like for me personally, I'd be like, okay, all right, issue your arrest warrant. It's just a piece of paper at this point.
Right. But if you were to say like, okay, he's invited by Britain, say, to come do trade negotiations, and he shows up and they arrest him. They arrest the leader of Israel and they throw him in jail. Act of war?
I don't know.
I mean, wouldn't they be like, we don't subscribe to your law and you just captured our leader?
You see, that would be an interesting dynamic too, because Britain is a member of the International Criminal Court.
Yeah.
So are they obligated to like give him up if he were to come there?
I think so.
But then also Britain is a NATO ally of Israel. So aren't they obligated? And so so what happens when your ally declares war on you? Are you obligated to go to their defense?
Yeah, right.
And fight yourself?
Yeah.
How the hell does that even work?
All right, you guys on that side, you're on that side, you on this side, you're on that. I don't know. I mean, there's some interesting dynamics there. I'm really curious to know, actually.
Like, how does this play out?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when your own allies are like, I mean, we have no choice.
Right.
We gotta give you up.
Yeah.
We gotta arrest you right here. But you're my ally. But no.
Yeah. But so, we love you, but we don't love what you did.
Yes. No, we're Israel's ally.
Yeah.
We're not your ally.
Right.
Now, I want to know, because it's really weird, because we've talked about Netanyahu a few times, and you always see how they're saying that Israelis are losing support for Netanyahu. It's like, are they really? Like, I don't know that I've seen any Israeli nationalists or nationals say, hey, we don't fucking like this guy. Do you think the Israeli nationals hate what he's doing right now in Gaza?
No, I don't think they care.
Seem to be going right along with it.
Yeah.
And like anytime I hear, because how many times did we hear that the Russian nationals were losing support? We're going to overthrow Putin. And that, I mean, maybe it's just because he kills them all. I don't know. But I have a hard time believing when they're like, oh, all these people hate him. It's just like, you're making a move against you're making a power move here against a standing leader of a sovereign country.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Israel, and I have a hard time defending Israel because of how Israel is, but I also don't like the Western civilizations, i.e. the United States or whatever, making power moves in other countries.
Right.
I just don't like it, even though, Israel's just as guilty of that.
Right. Yeah.
So
I imagine, the allies will go, they'll sit down, they'll do some delegation, they'll try to convince him to give himself up, to do some kind of plea deal, and then he'll have to end up paying like a couple $2 billion and to Ukraine and they'll call it good, right?
Yeah, he gets the Jimmy Kimmel treatment.
Yeah, right.
He just has to like be publicly shamed or something.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more than that, and we'll get into that.
Yeah,
it's going to be more than that. So certain congressmen from the United States who are not part of this international organization, they're outraged by this. Completely outraged. Like, why
Lindsey
are we even?
Graham one of them?
I haven't seen.
He seems
Lindsey
like
Graham.
somebody who would be outraged by it.
I would think so too. I don't know why we're even voicing our outrage. It's like, we don't recognize you. That's all you have to say. It's like,
right.
We don't recognize you.
Yeah, we appreciate the fact that you think this is an atrocity, but we don't really recognize your definition of atrocity.
So Representative Brian Mast of Florida says that due to the reports of the ICC preparing arrest warrants against Israeli officials, he's inviting the president and prosecutor of that court to testify before the House of Foreign Affairs Committee. Okay, first of all, do you think so? This self-proclaimed international organization, our National House Committee, Foreign Affairs Committee, is like, you should come testify before us. You think they're gonna give a shit about that?
No. Yeah.
Like, no, you should come testify on ours. We're international, bitches. You're just federal. We're internationals. Who do you think you are? No. Then Representative Richie Torres of New York responded to the report saying the ICC's abuse of power must be met with strong consequences from both Congress and the president.
Really?
What consequences can you impose on a court system that you don't recognize?
Yeah, because then they'll be like, well, we don't recognize you.
It's just like, we gotta take a stand against them. It's just like, what's more of a stand than saying we don't recognize you?
Yeah.
Isn't that the strongest possible stance against some sort of governing body? It's just like,
we
don't fucking care. I would think that would be about the most response you could give there.
Yeah.
Goes on to say, even though Hamas is the undeniable cause of the war in Gaza, the ICC might target Israel as though it were the aggressor, as though Hamas had never committed October 7th. Now, here's where you're wrong, Representative Richie Torres. It very clearly stated 2 paragraphs ago that both Hamas members and Israeli members may be getting arrested. They're both under investigation. So when he comes out, he's just like, as though Hamas never committed. They're investigating that too.
Yeah.
Like they seem like they're being a little unbiased about this, but he's coming off like, well, of course they're going to go after Israel. Everybody goes after Israel. Why wouldn't they go after the terrorists? It's like, but they are going after the terrorists.
Yeah.
You're like, either you're ignorant on the facts here, or you're intentionally like just glossing over that fact.
They're intentionally glossing over.
Oh, I'm sure. The issuance of arrest warrants would represent the culmination of a long process of criminalizing the world's only Jewish state. The weaponization of international law in the service of terror cannot be allowed to stand. There's a lot of angry words there.
Yeah. So apparently, a lot of people that don't recognize them, they just call them out as Eurocentric and racism.
Oh, yeah, because the majority of their charges are against like African nations.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which, from what we see, maybe it's just the Eurocentric news media that's reporting this. There tends to be quite a bit of genocide in the African nations at times.
Yeah, that's how
from what we've seen, or what we're told at least. Maybe not. Maybe it's just all the racism and Eurocentrism in the international courts. I don't know. Says Israel has maintained its innocence over accusations of war crimes and has insisted it is Hamas that is guilty of genocide. Now, explain to me how Hamas is guilty of genocide.
Yeah, well, they captured. How many hostages did they end up taking?
A few.
Yeah.
I mean, a few. Not genocide worthy.
No.
Not numbers.
I mean, is there a number on genocide? Like, is there a definition that
I
says,
think there's like a percent, like if you're like at risk of like taking out a specific percentage of a population, which what 1,200 was not even close.
Okay.
Compared to the 30,000, and then also the starving of and relocation of and like all that stuff, kind of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Potentially culminates into genocide.
Yeah. So, okay. So apparently in 2023, they issued arrest warrants for Vladimir Putin.
And how'd that go for them?
The first head of state of a UN Security Council permanent member withdrew its signature. It decided to withdraw from the ICC at that time.
Oh, I mean, that's how easy it is.
Yes.
It's like, we're going to arrest you because you're part of this. You're under our jurisdiction.
Okay, so
it's like, all right, fine. We're no longer under your jurisdiction.
If he should travel to a state party that follows this, he can be arrested.
Can be, but will he be?
Yes. Apparently, the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs retaliated by placing ICC officials on a wanted list.
I mean, how hard is that? It's just like, well, we have a warrant out for your arrest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a warrant out for
Yeah.
your arrest and his arrest. Well,
Yeah.
Didn't China pretty much put out like arrest warrants over like what's his name? The head of the military guy, Blinken, Antony Blinken.
Yeah.
And
And
I mean, there's a few out there that he played. It's just like, okay, it literally means nothing. It's basically like, don't come to our country.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a blacklist is pretty much what it is. So I wanted to get in because I was curious as to why specifically the United States and Israel are not part of this international court. Why do you think? Why do you suppose?
Because they probably tried to go after George W. Bush, and then America decided to withdraw.
Or the fact that it's just like at any point the United States could be charged with some sort of crime against humanity with all their many, many wars.
My thought is somebody of significance in the United States got brought up on charges. There was a warrant issued, and then they're like, you know what? We're no longer going to be a part of this.
Well, they never actually were a member of it.
Okay.
And one thing they claim is that, well, it goes against our Constitution because then our law isn't the sovereign law. And it's like, that's not at all why. It's more likely what you're talking about because we fully supported it all the way through Clinton's administration. And then you hit the nail on the head. The person that pulled back, George W. is the one that pulled us back. Did you read that or did you just guess?
I guessed.
That's a good guess. So I wanted to get into this because this talks about what is the International Criminal Court and talks about the members that aren't involved. We won't read the whole thing because it's pretty long. It says 6 countries that aren't part of the International Criminal Court. It says, in the midst of a world marked by conflict and accountability crises, the conspicuous absence of major powers like the United States, Russia, and China from the International Criminal Court casts a long shadow over the ideals of international justice. Their refusal to sign up to the International Court has sparked much heated debate since it was first set up in The Hague, Netherlands, more than 2 decades ago. Supporters of the International Criminal Court accuse the 3 global powers of hampering the court's important investigations into war crimes, while opponents accuse the court of lacking political independence. In short, the row is reflective of geopolitical tensions and national policies. The absence of these key players on the world stage is not merely a footnote in the international law, but a central chapter in ongoing dialogue about accountability and sovereignty. The 3 powers are not alone. Other notable absences include Israel, Qatar, Iraq, and Libya. That sounds like 7, not 6, because they said the 3 and then they just listed 4 more.
Yeah.
Many of the ICC absentees have turbulent pasts and presence, but they all have one thing in common. They prefer to avoid international legal scrutiny. So here's what the International Criminal Court is, and we kind of briefly touched on it. What is the ICC and what's its purpose? Put it simply, the ICC was established by an international treaty, the Rome Statute, in 1998 to prosecute anyone responsible for war crimes, genocide, and crimes or violations against humanity. The main scenario in which this court acts is whether a government, with or without a judicial system, is unwilling or unable to prosecute criminals in their own countries. However, unlike other similar organizations, such as the International Court of Justice, the ICC can prosecute individuals. The ability to claim jurisdiction over individuals unlikely to be prosecuted in national courts is probably one of the key reasons why some prominent nations like the United States, China, and Russia continue to decline to sign this particular treaty agreement. It says accusations of politicized prosecutions. This is when it gets into like the racism and stuff, I think. It says often common complaints and negative commentaries about international organizations arise due to their lack of concrete and successful actions. The ICC is no exception to this rule, particularly after its first conviction, which only arrived more than 10 years after the Rome Statute was first enforced. That case was heard in 2012 when Thomas Lubanga, leader of a violent militia in the Congo in Africa, was convicted of a series of horrendous war crimes relating mainly to his use of child soldiers. However, his conviction and the fact that many of ICC's investigations and legal actions have centered on Africa have exposed the organization to accusations of alleged anti-African bias by some nations. However, it's important to note the ICC's involvement in African issues has been referred in some cases by the UN or even self-referred by a member state, which was the case with Uganda in its conflicts with the Lord's Resistance Army. I don't care to get into how it operates and stuff.
Right.
I want to get into countries not part of the International Criminal Court.
And another thing which I thought was interesting, which I just read, was apparently, you remember the genocide against the Uyghurs?
Yes.
So apparently there was a complaint up against China for crimes against the Uyghurs for genocide.
Yes.
And the ICC said they didn't see a basis for this, and so they threw it out.
The ICC said that?
Yeah. So again, money talks.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
I'm sure it does. And China's doesn't fall under
right.
jurisdiction.
No, and they don't want to piss off China.
So starts out with the United States. Why the United States isn't part of this? It says for some, this is the most surprising absence in the ICC, while for others it's a no-brainer. After all, the ICC can exercise global jurisdiction and focus on high-level government officials who are usually difficult to prosecute by an international organization. This enables the ICC to target individuals who are often not held accountable due to their high-ranking positions. The U.S. signed up to the treaty during the Bill Clinton's presidency, but the move was later revoked by George W., who was afraid of American soldiers being targeted by the international community. Sounds like Bibi.
Yeah, yep.
I'm afraid for the soldiers. You think GW was afraid for the soldiers being targeted? Or you think GW might have been afraid for his own ass?
Yeah, he was afraid a shoe was coming after
Iraq, after Afghanistan, after everything we got ourselves involved in with the wars in the Middle East. GW is afraid for the soldiers.
I'm sure
I'm
Bibi's
afraid
using
for the soldiers.
GW's playbook on this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's like,
the soldiers.
Hey, Georgie, can I see that?
In 2013, during a congressional briefing on human rights, the main speaker was Stephen Rapp, who pointed out the position of the United States administration towards intergovernmental organizations, specifically the ICC. Rapp explained that his country's decision to stand apart from the ICC is a matter of philosophical tradition. According to Rapp, Americans believe that they can better assist others than the international community. So America thinks they do better at this than the ICC would do, obviously.
Yeah.
And they don't have the ICC coming down on them for the way that they assist the other countries. This implies that if the U.S. were to become a member of an organization like the ICC, its identity would be put at risk, as it would be required to abide by a set of external regulations and laws. There is concern that if the United States ever does decide to join, the global community could target them due to their aggressive foreign policy. This could lead to the court prosecuting American soldiers. Again, come back to the soldiers.
Right.
Remember when I said the carrot they dangle in front of you is the carrot that they don't give a shit about?
Right, yeah.
It's always the soldiers.
Yeah.
It's like, you care about the soldiers? then let's not sign them. No, it's the other individuals involved in contentious actions overseas, i.e., the people that put the soldiers there, not necessarily the soldiers. Because do you think if somebody were to, if another country, like say Iraqis or Afghanis or somebody were to try to bring charges against us in the ICC, do you think they're going to be like, John over there, like Sergeant John and Corporal Schmitty, we're going to bring charges on them? Or do you think they're going to go after the big fish that came up with all the war strategies or implemented all this shit in the first place?
Right. Yeah. No,
it's like there's bigger fish to fry. Right. And the people that are keeping us out of the ICC, which I don't think we should be part of.
No.
I feel there's too much corruption at higher levels like that. But the people that are keeping us out of it isn't big for our benefit. It's for their benefit.
Right. Yeah. They know they would be targeted.
The GW presidency was marked by a movement away from the ICC, seeing the international body as a threat to U.S. interests. This was evident during the conflict in Afghanistan under the Bush presidency, which some member states viewed as potentially criminal and deserving of investigation. U.S. concerns came to a head in 2002 when Congress passed the American Service Members Protection Act, which asserted that the ICC has no authority over prosecuting U.S. service members. The United States justified their lack of cooperation with the ICC by claiming to work continually and diligently to help victims of international crime and prevent further acts against humanity by imposing our own international crime and acts against humanity.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have taken out Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden if we were following the ICC, right?
Obviously. Now, Russia, you already talked about. You already pretty much said everything they're going to say. What is going on? I don't want the right passport for me. Let me in. Let me read, damn it. God damn it. I accidentally clicked on it. Hang on. We'll get there. What just happened? All right, here we go. So let's get down to Israel. Why Israel isn't part of this? Although Israel supported the court at its inception, similar to the United States,
right?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, it was first proposed like after World War I, and then it was proposed again after World War II during the Nuremberg stuff, and then more proposals. Then it finally kind of passed-ish or was really pushed in the 80s, passed in the 90s, and wasn't really implemented till like the late 90s. And you saw the very first thing they actually charged anybody was in 2012. So, yes, I maybe Nuremberg had something to do with it, but this came kind of to fruition long after that. But like the U.S., Israel supported the court at its inception. Ultimately, it never ratified the treaty. After decades of conflict with Palestinians and dozens of accusations of war crimes, it's apparent why Israel isn't part of the ICC. Palestinian representatives who have been members of the ICC since 2015 have been submitting evidence of alleged war crimes by the Israeli army to the courts for some years now. However, there hasn't been much action from the organization besides recognition of the issues and the need to address them. So that's how much authority they have. They present this evidence and the ICC is like, yeah, we see that. Somebody should address that.
Yeah.
And that's as far as it's gone so far.
Yeah.
Just like, thank you for being an international court.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us confirmation of that.
Yeah. I see your point. That is valid point.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Israel has also accused Palestine of war crimes. Violence erupted once again October 2023. We know the October 7th murder sparked ongoing military invasion of Gaza, resulting in more than 32,000 deaths to date, with women and children have borne the brunt of the killings. However, even the death tolls in Gaza are disputed. Yet, never-ending conflict between Israel and Palestine has been a diplomatic nightmare in which many nations, both ICC members and non-members, are currently involved, supporting one side or the other. So, Israel's obviously not joining because they would get slapped a lot of times.
They knew it.
Libya, oil-rich but socially and politically unstable with an ongoing civil war, Libya is another absentee from the International Criminal Court. That doesn't mean it is beyond the reach of the ICC. As outlined above, the ICC can, according to its charter, engage with cases referred to it by the UN Security Council acting on behalf of the UN General Assembly. Under those circumstances, Libya, as a non-member, is compelled to cooperate with the ICC. So here's a caveat here. If you're part of the UN Council, the UN refers the case to the ICC. It doesn't matter if you fall under their jurisdiction, if you agree to it or not, they can still charge you because the UN said so.
Right.
Israel is a member of the UN. So the UN can say, hey, we're going to pass this on to you. If the UN hands it to the ICC, then Israel basically has to comply with it.
Right.
So that's the interesting caveat there.
Yeah.
Even though the UN has its own international court system, the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, they can pass on the individual thing down to the ICC.
Yeah.
Even though they're not part of the UN.
Because like you said, the difference is one goes after the country, the other goes after the individual.
Correct. 2017, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for the Libyan militant Mahmoud Mustafa Boustieff al-Wirfali of the Libyan National Army. He was one of the key combatants in 2011 at the outset of Libya's civil war, fighting what was referred to in the West as the tyranny of the Libyan dictator, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Accused of committing war crimes, including violent executions, Warfali became the fourth Libyan prosecuted by the ICC since it opened the case less than a decade ago. Among other arrest warrants issued by the court was one for Gaddafi himself. He was subsequently killed by the rebels, and Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. In November 2016, it was reported that Saif al-Islam was free to travel around Zintan in northwest Libya while still officially a prisoner. 2017, he allegedly survived an assassination attempt by local militias. What this has to do with the ICC, I don't know.
Right, yeah.
The ICC finally charged him with crimes against humanity and war crimes, but allowed Libya's courts to try him, which later sentenced him to death.
Well, that backfired.
Yes. Unsurprisingly, both Russia and U.S. were involved in the Libyan conflict, each with its own particular reasons. Russia made allies on both sides, while the U.S. maintained its sole ambition was to continue the fight against the Islamic State group of militants and assist the UN and go after that fucking oil.
Yep.
China. Why do you think China is not part of it?
Same thing as the United States.
You would think. China supposedly has different reasons.
Oh.
It's their potential interests in like their allies and stuff. So it says China's mission is particularly interesting as it isn't about the potential prosecution by the court of its nationals or military. Instead, China's difficulties center on its allies and international relationships. Being part of the ICC means cooperating with the court in its pursuit of fugitives, helping build cases against alleged war criminals, gathering evidence, or providing logistical assistance where needed. The problem for China is that its international relations can sometimes become controversial and strained, such as in the case of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who has been accused of war crimes, including the use of chemical weapons. Russia's support of al-Assad's government is no secret, but a lesser-known sponsor for the Syrian president is China. China's relationship with Syria goes back to 1990s when it started providing weapons for Bashar's father and former president Hafez al-Assad. Its current interest in Syria's situation is centered around potential economic gain. So if they are part of it, then they got to be part of the solution.
Right.
And then they have to cut economic ties and stuff. And their biggest thing they want is those economic ties. And they don't give a shit who it comes from.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't care if you freaking gassed your own people. As long as we're getting rich off you, that's fucking fine.
Exactly.
And we're not going to assist the international court system with arresting you because we're getting rich off you. That's why China is not a member.
That's very China-esque of them.
Right. Qatar, There's a word commonly used in international community to describe Qatar's Emir Tamim Al Thani and his country's foreign policy: pragmatic. The Arab country prizes good relations with all sides of some major international conflicts of the last decade. Qatar is incredibly rich with one of the largest natural gas and oil reserves in the world. It has one of the highest income rates per capita in the world and is classified by the UN as a country of very high human development. Still, they managed to make enemies out of the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia because of its alleged relations with radical groups and terrorists like Hamas and ISIS. What's remarkable here is, despite its Arab neighbors' accusations that it funded and harbored terrorists, Qatar has somehow managed to maintain good relations with the United States, probably because the United States helped create those terrorists.
Right, yeah.
How does this all relate to the ICC? Many of Qatar's problems and concerns could start to diminish if they decide to enter the ICC and ratify the Rome Statute. The main concern revolving around Qatar's potential move to join the ICC relates to its connections with the Palestinian terror group Hamas. However, the situation is complex, with both sides benefiting from Qatar's connections. For example, since the recent outbreak of conflict in Gaza, Qatar has played a crucial role along with Egypt and the U.S. in attempting to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Thanks to their knowledge and access to Hamas, Qatari officials were able to negotiate the release of several hostages, including some U.S. citizens, and continues to work towards the further release of Israeli hostages. Sounds like they're trying to play both sides too, and if they get involved in the ICC, they can't play both sides anymore.
Yeah, and that seems to be, I mean, for the smarter countries, what their angle is.
Yeah, it's like some countries, it's like, we don't want to join because we don't want to go to jail,
right? Yeah.
Because we'll be the first on the chopping block. Other countries are like, well, we make money on both sides. We don't care who's genociding who, as long as we're making our money. That's fine. So those are the countries that aren't part of that.
All the ones you would think.
Yeah, basically, some of the major superpowers. Then you get the European countries that are part of it because they join like every freaking organization known to man. It's like, well, we should form the EU, and you're not going to be sovereign to you. You're going to be sovereign to us. I mean, you'll still be sovereign, but you're at the end of the day, you're sovereign to us, and we're going to make the rules for you. And if you don't follow our rules, you're not part of this EU. And they're like, cool, that's awesome. And ICC comes out and it's like, hey, we want to have an international court system that supersedes all your court systems. They're like, that's fine. That's fine. Our money is superseded by a higher power. Might as well have our court system superseded by a higher power. It's fine. I mean, that's Europe for you.
Right.
Europe does not like to make their own decisions, I think.
Yeah.
They want somebody to make decisions for them.
Right.
And then when a European nation does decide, you know what, this fucking sucks. They're labeled Nazis. They're labeled fascists. Like, what's that chick's name from
Italy?
Yeah. How's that work? I wonder how that's working out for her.
I mean, I think it's going well for her. It seems like she's really popular down there.
So I guess there's no reason why Bibi should be scared because of what we were saying about the how the UN kind of, if they're part of the UN, then the UN can pass it down to the ICC. I haven't seen anything that says the UN told the ICC to go after Netanyahu, though. So if the UN didn't say go after him, then there's really no jurisdiction there, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure, because the UN is the one that was initially bringing up the fact that they thought that there was an issue here and calling for ceasefires and such. And that's when Bibi was like, what are you, anti-Semitic? No, we're not going to do a ceasefire. And so then they probably passed it on to the ICC.
Right. I had another article that talks kind of about this. I'm not sure where it went. Give me just a second. Don't sigh at me.
No, I wasn't sighing at you. I was sighing at my boss.
Oh, geez. Tell him we're busy. All right. I don't have this one shared. Let me see if I can get this one shared and pulled up. So this one talks about, like, could he be arrested? Even if the UN isn't responsible, could he be arrested? This is from Newsweek. Will Netanyahu be arrested by the ICC?
No.
What we know.
No.
I'm not saying no. I'm not going to say no. I think he's scared for the same reason what I think's going on. I think he knows somebody's coming after him at all levels.
Yeah.
And
well,
they're trying to give him the freaking Janet Yellen treatment.
But my question would be, is there an opposition candidate that's set up against him?
There is.
And if that's the
Janet's
case,
got a candidate.
Well, and that's just it. So if there is, then that there is support to get him deplatformed, kicked out of office, so that they can sweep in. And we've seen this in Brazil. We've seen it in Ukraine. Russia. I mean, where they've tried and unsuccessfully, where they always have somebody waiting in the wings. They try to brand somebody a war criminal, and then the other person just slips in.
Iraq, Afghanistan,
right. I mean,
everywhere we touch.
Yeah.
So this is from Newsweek. It says, will Netanyahu be arrested, and what we know. It says, Israel is trying to stop the International Criminal Court from issuing arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the defense minister, and senior military officials. The ICC, which can charge individuals with war crimes against humanity and genocide, is investigating attacks by Hamas and Israel's military assault on Hamas-ruled Gaza that followed it. I want to get into the meat of this because we've talked about all this. It says, one expert told Newsweek that the warrants would not be issued unless the case was bulletproof. When asked for comment, the ICC told Newsweek it's an ongoing independent investigation in relation to the situation in the state of Palestine, but it does not give a running it doesn't give a running commentary in relation to ongoing investigation, nor does the office respond to speculation in the media. Accordingly, we have no further comment. Okay, how many times are you going to say you don't have any comment?
Right.
Neither Israel nor the United States recognize the court's jurisdiction, and any warrants would not mean that Netanyahu would be jailed. However, such a move would put Israeli officials at risk of arrest in more than 120 other countries, which we talked about. If he goes to one of these supporting countries, he could be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
It says, including much of Europe. It says 120 other countries that are signatories, including much of Europe. It would also deliver a resounding rebuke of Israel's actions in Gaza, which have been condemned throughout the world and led to widespread protests across U.S. universities and campuses. So it's not so much necessarily the arrest they're worried about. It's more of the red stain that puts on you of being labeled now you're labeled a war criminal.
Right.
Even if the U.S. doesn't recognize that, a bunch of other countries are going to have to recognize, well, our international court system that we signed on to has labeled you a war criminal, and we don't support war criminals.
But can't he just come out and be like, well, I understand. Obviously, you're anti-Semitic, right?
I mean, there's always that card.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, my people know all about genocides. We were there from the beginning.
Yeah, we're the OG genocide.
Yep.
Neither Israel nor the United States recognize. It says, let's see. Israeli Foreign Ministry Israel Katz said on Sunday he expects the ICC to refrain from issuing arrest warrants against senior Israeli political and security officials, and that we will not bow our heads to be deterred. Meanwhile, in a statement Friday, Netanyahu said that while he was leader, Israel will never accept any attempt by the ICC to undermine its inherent right of self-defense. We all read all that part. Let's keep going. It says, I do not think this is coming from... All right, let's go back here. It says, Arniz, I'm not even going to try to read that name. Arniza, a genocide researcher and educator currently working on an ICC case, told Newsweek she doesn't believe the rumors that the ICC and ICJ were on the verge of indictment of Netanyahu and others on charges of genocide and crimes against humanity. I don't think the ICC will indict Netanyahu unless his ilk unless they have a bulletproof case. From my own source, I can truly say that the investigators and most of the ICC is taking the case incredibly seriously, and many do understand the diplomatic precariousness involved here. Now, this is where it's interesting. Whatever decision the ICC makes is likely to influence the ICJ's decision too.
That is interesting.
Because the ICJ is part of the UN.
Mm-hmm.
the ICJ is investigating separately Israel's crimes against humanity, Israel's genocide, potential genocide, allegedly. It says, if the ICC indicts Netanyahu on genocide, it is very likely the ICJ would come out to state that Israel is guilty of genocide at their level. So that's where it gets kind of dicey.
Right.
Now, if the UN were to declare Israel guilty of genocide, then what? In the past, it's meant very little. In the past, it's like, you guys are guilty. It's like, fuck it. It's like, yes, the international courts has told them to do specific things or do whatever, but the country still has the right to say, fuck it. Now, what other implications does that mean, though? Do like other UN countries start, I don't know, imposing certain like sanctions against Israel now?
Yeah,
I mean,
possible.
Does the United States stop sending billions of dollars to Israel? I mean,
that won't happen.
You know it won't, but how does it look when the UN, who we're part of, who we're supposedly under, says these guys are genociding war criminals? The United States like, keep taking our weapons. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, then what? Like, how much credibility does the United States then hold on the world stage if they continue to support
does the U.S. have any credibility after the whole Afghanistan-Iraq thing? I mean, aren't they already considered kind of... I mean, I know when Obama came on, people were like, oh, good, finally some sanity. And then he blows up a Red Cross hospital,
right.
And then they're like... And then Trump comes on, and then everybody's scared. And Trump's like, hey, if you can't pay your bills, you're out. And then Biden comes in, and everybody's like, oh, thank God. And then he has a walking team.
Right.
So do we have credibility? I mean, in the court of international opinion, I mean, I would say we don't.
Probably not.
If anything, I mean, this would make America even more valuable to Israel.
Well, obviously.
Because America then validates Israel. People want to work with the United States despite the fact that we're shit. But, if you work with the big brother, you get the little brother, right?
Yes, we got to put up with a shitty little brother.
Yep.
Now, freaking Netanyahu, as we read earlier, has made some phone calls to Biden. I don't feel like he's actually talking to Biden.
No, he's not.
It's either
Obama,
an impersonator, or AI, or just a representative of Biden, because it said he had like a nearly hour-long conversation with Biden about this stuff.
Because he sat there like, hello, can you hear me? Hello, Domino's.
So Netanyahu reaches out to Biden and is like, what can you do to stop this? Can you, what can the U.S. do to stop it? Because they're not part of this international court system either. But he's trying to figure out what to do, because he doesn't want these filed.
Right.
Even though he's not part of this, he doesn't want it filed because of the implication, the deeper implications that happens from this. And a spokesperson for the White House or a representative of the White House has come out and been like, we don't recognize this at all, this investigation at all, because we don't recognize the ICC. I don't know how much I buy that.
No.
I feel like they're going to kind of sit on their hands with this and see how this plays out in the international courts, and then take full advantage of it later.
Well, and bet the United States, even though they're not a part of the court system, they have a lot of allies that are. They can put pressure on their allies to go a certain way.
They could, yeah. They absolutely could do that part of it. I don't see that happening.
They can go to Bibi and be like, hey, just give yourself up, give a plea, they'll give you a slap on the wrist, you're out.
According to the Jerusalem Post, who's probably pro-Bibi, I would think, the Biden administration's not really doing shit about it.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
So this says, as fears mount in Israel that the ICC will issue arrest warrants against the prime minister and other officials in the government and military, one has to wonder, why is Joe Biden being so quiet? Because Joe Biden's an idiot, first of all. He probably doesn't even know what's going on.
Right. No one's probably even told him.
The question on many minds today is simple yet profound. Where is President Joe Biden? That's the question. We have that question every fucking day. Right? Where is President Joe Biden?
The fuck?
As Israel faces potential legal peril at the hands of the ICC. Says a recent article in the Jerusalem Post highlighted that the ICC might be poised to issue arrest warrants against the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and IDF Chief of Staff Herzl Halevi. This possibility has alarmed Israeli officials, prompting Netanyahu to declare that Israel will never accept any ICC attempt to undermine its right to self-defense. We keep hearing that. Despite these concerns, President Biden's administration has remained relatively quiet, leading to the question, why isn't Biden defending Israel against the ICC's potential overreach? Well, first of all, this. What's going on here? Oh, my page is unresponsive. That's fine. First of all, this. The ICC isn't... He doesn't have to defend Israel against the ICC. It's a couple people that Biden already doesn't like, or Biden's handlers already don't like. So when you ask the question, why isn't he coming to defense his aid, or to Israel's defense? Because it's not Israel that's on the chopping block. The implication is that Israel would be on the chopping block, but that, you see, I think there's this bigger picture here. And I think they're going to use this as kind of a bargaining chip down the road.
Oh, definitely.
I lost my spot. Remained relatively quiet, leading to the question, why isn't Biden defending Israel against the ICC's potential overreach? While U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson has called on the ICC to stand down on this immediately, Biden's reluctance to intervene has raised eyebrows. The U.S. has historically been a strong ally of Israel, sharing a common understanding of threats posed by terrorist organizations like Hamas. However, Biden's administration has taken a more cautious approach to the ICC, rescinding former President Trump's order to sanction the ICC if it indicted Israeli leaders. This shift in policy could be seen as contributing to the ICC's emboldened stance against Israel. Moreover, a Wall Street Journal editorial urged the U.S. and UK to intervene, noting the ICC chief prosecutor Karim Khan's candidacy was championed by Britain and supported by the U.S. It suggested Biden's administration risks setting a dangerous precedent for prosecuting democracies defending themselves against terrorism if it continues its current course. As Israel rages its just war against Hamas and other terrorist groups, the U.S. must take a firm stance against the ICC overreach. If the ICC continues on its current path, it not only threatens Israel's right to self-defense, but also endangers the soldiers and officials of all democracies fighting savage terrorism. The time for Biden to act is now, before the ICC becomes a kangaroo court, as former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman has warned. The U.S. administration's hesitance to defend Israel from potential ICC prosecution raises concerns. As a critical ally, the U.S. must stand with Israel to ensure its inherent right to self-defense and resist attempts by the international bodies to undermine the fight against terrorism. Where is Biden? It's time for him to step up and defend a democratic ally before it's too late. Now, the bigger picture. So, it's not like they're not coming to Israel's defense. Like I said, they're not coming to Netanyahu's defense. Right. Do you remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about Chuck Schumer, who was quoted saying, if he doesn't change, the U.S. will need to play a more active role in shaping Israel's policy.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to NAD the shit out of Netanyahu. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those people that aren't part of the ICC supposedly aren't the ones putting the little whisper in the ICC's ear to come down on Netanyahu, get him the fuck out of here. There's a power play here.
Absolutely.
The U.S. still says they're going to have Israel's back. It's glaringly clear that they don't have Bibi's back at all. I mean, over the last 6 months that October 7th has happened, have you heard too many U.S. officials, U.S. higher-ups saying, we fully support Benjamin Netanyahu? Have you heard them one time say that?
No.
But you've heard them say at least 1,000 times, we have Israel's back. Never once have they said, we got your back, bro. Like, and they've actually said completely the opposite. It's like, dude, if you don't change, we're going to change it for you. You're either with us or against us. Kind of the George W. Bush approach. I see this as happening because as the last article said, if the ICC comes down and indict or like actually convicts Bibi of crimes against humanity, the ICJ is probably going to follow suit. That's when the U.S. will step in. That's when the ICC comes down. It's like, you're a war criminal. It's like, what are you going to do? The ICJ is like, well, we have, and the U.S. like, whoa, hold on. Let us assist here.
Right.
Let us we'll kind of take the hit for this. We'll step in on their behalf. In doing so, Bibi's got to go though. Right. That's when they start pulling their
sacrificial.
Yeah, that's when they start. It's like, look, we only have it. Like something's got to give here. You already have a stay in here. Do you want Israel to have a stay in here?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should just step down and like kind of forcing his hand there. It's like, if you don't want Israel, like we've got pull in the UN. Obviously, we don't have so much pull in the obviously we couldn't come to your aid in the ICC because we're not part of them, just like you're not part of them.
Right.
But we do have pull in the UN. So if you just make a nice clean exit, then we'll make sure Israel stays clean of all this. We've got Israel's back.
Right.
I'm sorry. You just got to go.
Right.
That's why I think the U.S. is just sitting on their hands about this just long enough to see him kind of forced off the stage.
Let me ask you this. What would it do for Biden's poll numbers if Bibi goes out and there's a two-state solution created, peace between Israel and Palestine? Does he become the hero?
I mean, would it be enough at this point? I mean, I feel like I don't know, because the far left, like the freaking, what's her name? The Tahib or whatever.
Yeah.
She's calling for Biden's head. Like, if you support Israel at all in this, like, you're supporting genocide.
Right.
If you support a two-state solution, is that the compromise that's needed, or do they want even further than that? Or is it too late for Biden at this point? Like, he's allowed this to go on, 30,000 freaking people in Gaza. He's allowed this to go on this long. Him waiting, kind of shifting, or what did he say? Playing more of an active role in shifting their policies after 50,000 people in Gaza get murdered.
Yeah.
Is that enough, or is that too little, too late?
Okay, so Biden's damaged goods. Him and Bibi are out. Michael Obama swipes and
jeez, that
saves the day.
Jesus Christ, why does it always come back to Michael Obama? God damn it.
Yeah,
probably though, most likely.
I mean, that'd be a great way to get started. Liberals would love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. Now, this is just has all the freaking classic signs of U.S. politics.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
NED politics. It's just like, we don't like this guy. They made it abundantly clear we don't like this guy, but they've also made it abundantly clear that we're not going to not support Israel in all of this. But that doesn't mean we have to support Benjamin Netanyahu. It's like, we're just not going to do anything. Well, we'll just let the international courts play out. Let him get the freaking red mark on him, then use that against him when it comes to Israel. I mean, we tried doing that in freaking in Russia.
Right.
It's like, Putin's the bad guy. You guys need to rise up against Putin. You guys need to push Putin out. Everything will be fine. We'll stop starving you. We'll stop these freaking sanction stuff. You just got to push Putin out. He's the one that's causing all of these problems. It didn't happen there, but maybe with one of our allies.
Maybe, but I think Bibi and Putin are cut from the same cloth.
Probably, but the thing is, we send a lot of fucking money to Israel.
And that's true. Bibi's more dependent on the United States than Russia is on the international community.
It's like, if you don't push them out, we're just going to cut off some of these funds. This $26 billion aid package that was just approved like last week, finally approved. $95 billion of military aid. 26 of it is going to Israel. 60 of it's going to Ukraine, which we're going to talk about. We're kind of late getting to break, but that's fine. I want to get through all the Israel. Why break it up? So, $26 billion. Like, if we as a nation really were that concerned about what Israel is doing to Gaza, which we keep saying we are, why are we approving $26 billion? Why wouldn't we be like, look, we got this $26 billion, but you got to, it's like we're sending them the weapons to fucking continue
You got to
what they're
pursue
doing.
a ceasefire if you want these funds.
Which have you seen all this talk about like a 6-week ceasefire they're kind of got in the works? I feel like all of this it's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle of shaping the policies in Israel to what we want them to be. Bibi is just not as controllable as somebody else could be. Yes, we support Israel because it's a strategic spot in the area. We've got a lot of money invested in the area, but Bibi's just not the guy for us.
Right.
Like
he's a little bit too hard right edge.
But it's not somebody we could send in a CIA op to freaking assassinate him.
Right.
I mean, that wouldn't look good. So instead, let's pass this along. Let's just see what plays out in the ICC, the international court system, get a red flag on him. Then we can say, oh, you're guilty of crimes against, Israel, do you want to be guilty of crimes against humanity? Because no country wants to be guilty of crimes against humanity.
Yeah. Get rid of Bibi, bring in the opposition guy. We can talk.
Yep. I that's exactly what I see this as. They're not going to do shit for Bibi with these arrest warrants. But if he does get, or even if the arrest warrants are issued and he's not actually charged with it, he's not found guilty of it, but they're issued, that's still a stain. It's like, weren't you the guy that like had arrest warrants for crimes against humanity?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, do you really want a guy that's been arrested for crimes against humanity as your leader?
Right.
Because I don't know if we can financially support somebody, a country whose leader was arrested for crimes against humanity.
How does that sound that the Israel nation has a leader that's crimes against humanity
and genocide
on a country based off of refugees from a country that was...
I heard Bibi was a Nazi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Bibi's the next Hitler.
Yeah.
Did you not know that? But you guys play your cards right. We can hold off the UN. You don't want the UN, because you know the UN's going to get involved next. You don't want the UN involved. We have a lot of pull in the UN.
Yeah. If
Nazi.
Yeah. We can still keep separate bathrooms for you guys and Palestinians, okay?
Yes. Derek says, had 2 bridges collapse in the surrounding counties, that $26 billion could go a long way to rebuild our own infrastructure instead of destroying it somewhere else. Then more billions to rebuild it. We're going to get into that stuff. I'm not talking the $26 billion to destroy and rebuild, but I want to talk about the $60 billion to destroy and rebuild and prop up an economy in Ukraine. We're going to get into that. You got anything else on this Israel thing?
No, I think that's about it. Again, it's political maneuvering, trying to set up Israel for a power play.
Right. Because, I mean, we can't have the NED literally in there.
Right.
Because Mossad will find him and probably kill him. So,
if we're lucky.
So we got we've got, it's interesting, the variety of playbook, like the huge playbook that we have for different countries for manipulating their freaking policies.
Well, I mean, you saw the playbook they came up with for Trump, I mean,
just for our own fucking country.
that was our own country.
Just imagine countries that we don't like, or we do say we like, we just like that they're there.
Yeah.
But when they don't play by our playbook, it's like, well, we have these ways of getting rid of them.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to be part of it.
Yeah.
We got other people that'll do the dirty work for us.
It's beautiful.
That's all I got on Israel. I think I made my point. I definitely think there is something. Again, I'm not a Netanyahu guy.
Yeah.
But when the entire political elites are coming against him, I'm like, maybe that guy's not so bad after all.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like when Gaddafi got offed. It's like, what was he doing that you didn't like?
Yeah.
Was it genocide for real, or was it he just wasn't playing by
yeah, exactly. And
the playbook?
Same with Hussein.
Yep, exactly. So we're gonna get into break. We're gonna take just a couple minutes, and we're gonna it's gonna be pretty brief talking about Ukraine. I don't have nearly as much on it. I just want to bring up this whole issue that I have with these new proposals, like 10-year support, guaranteed support of Ukraine. I have issues with that.
A little bit,
rightfully
yeah.
so. So we're going to take a couple minutes, then we're going to come back and we're going to get into Ukraine, and then we'll send you guys off for the week. We'll be right back.
Take a moment and remember the feeling. When they called you not essential. When they dictated what you could do, where you could go, how you could breathe. It's disgusting, isn't it? And they're trying to do it again. We've seen what happens when the people lose control. When politicians and unelected bureaucrats make the big decisions on our behalf, whether we like them or not. When the choices are taken away from us one by one. We've seen what happens when they strip away medical freedom, when they trample on informed consent, when they dismiss our cries of justice. They laughed at us. They called us names.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Them, their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
And they shamed us for not going along with their every demand. Enough already. It's time to hold these tyrants accountable. In the midst of them trying to do it again, this wasn't a public health measure. This was an act of war against a peaceful people. But a reckoning is coming, and we're leading the charge. This campaign is for all of us. I'm asking you to join this movement that's for every single person who felt the crushing weight of mandates, the sting of being called unessential, the pain of having your liberties stripped away. I'm Joshua Smith, and I'm running because you are essential, and because our freedoms are non-negotiable. Not last time, not this time, not ever again.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good.
We faced the challenges. We felt the pain, but we're not defeated. Together, we have the power to create a brighter future, one where liberty thrives and tyranny dies. I endorse prosecuting the COVID tyrants and using Guantanamo Bay to lock them away for their crimes against humanity. In the face of all of this happening again, where they think we're stupid enough to fall for it, in 2024, a vote for me is a vote for vengeance. Go to joshuasmith2024.com to find out how you can help.
We're back. You have enough of Israel yet?
Yeah.
Do you support Netanyahu more now that I don't necessarily support Netanyahu, but I don't believe in the way they're trying to take him out.
Any leader of a country that the international community is trying to boot out, I do have a little support for. Even Putin,
supposedly democratically elected person, that they're like, no, you guys are terrible. I mean, they do the same in our own country, so we can't be surprised.
Right.
It's like, no, you guys are really bad at electing leaders, so we're gonna boot them out for you, or we're gonna make it so you don't want them anymore.
Right.
And when you continue to want him, we'll wage war. Do you think it ever comes down to the U.S. waging war against Israel, though?
No, I don't think so.
What if Bibi stayed in power and continued to defy U.S. demands?
I think unless he directly went against U.S. interest, they wouldn't touch him.
What if he does? What if he does?
Say like what he takes out an American cargo or a passenger plane.
Maybe he just blocks access to like oil.
Yeah,
I mean that's usually
that's possible.
That's usually a key indicator that somebody needs our freedom.
Exactly. Yeah.
When they say,
and you're right. That would happen. That's exactly how that would work. So, but I don't see it happening. So,
I don't know. What happens when we go to war with Israel? Do we all get labeled anti-Semites? Do they just scratch the word anti-Semite from the dictionary? It's like, well, that was never a word.
Yeah,
that was never a word, guys. What is this word you're using?
The United States becomes the Fourth Reich, right?
I guess we probably already did.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get to Ukraine. Another product of Western meddling.
Yes.
Biden looks to prevent future president from ending the Ukraine war with a 10-year agreement.
Yeah, I sent this one to you, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Now, isn't usually the point of supporting wars to potentially end the wars?
That would be my thought.
Like, let's get this thing done and over
get
with.
Get it done, get it over with, get everybody back home.
Now, you would think.
Yeah, right.
But as history shows, in the last at least 20-some years,
war is money.
Yeah, we don't. Right? Why would we end the wars?
Yeah, we're getting rich off this bad boy.
Keep continuing, just continue with them. It's kind of like cancer. It's like we could cure cancer, or we could just keep spending money on finding quote unquote the cure for cancer.
The treatment is the money.
We could keep treating it for billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And the person eventually died probably from the treatment.
But we'll get paid.
Yeah. After World War II, they're like, there was a lot of money there. And then, oh shit, the money stopped. It's like, we won the war. Victory. It's like, guys, there's no money coming in now. It's like, oh,
have you guys heard of Korea?
Can we could we get ourselves into a war with Russia? And Russia's like, we're not taking the bait, guys.
Yeah.
Not taking the bait. We'll keep pushing this thing, but we'll bankrupt ourselves.
Yeah.
But we're not taking the bait. Then they finally freaking rolled the dice and got Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck going to war with countries.
Yeah.
Let's go to war with an ideology.
Right. Yeah.
Because ideology you can't put an end date on. You can't, it's not measurable.
Yep.
Like a country, you can only go to war until they're completely gone.
Right. Yeah.
An ideology
just keeps going.
Yeah. You just don't.
Shit. Countries run out of money, but an ideology, we can keep throwing money to them and to keep it going.
We'll just create our own terrorists.
Exactly.
We'll just keep giving them weapons. We'll train them, and then we'll piss them off, or we'll just tell them to go blow shit up, and then or we'll blow shit up. Even they don't even have to blow shit up. We'll blow shit up
for them.
They just got to take the blame for it. We'll just go bomb a bunch of people. Then when that person's like, you know what, I want a little more money for this, then we take them out and we're like, we got the terrorists, bitches.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's foolproof.
It is. Yep.
Then we got Ukraine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the bastard child of wars. It's like the money laundering pit of wars.
It is. It is.
Biden looks to prevent future president from ending Ukraine's war with a 10-year agreement. This is from Zero Hedge. As soon as the soon on the heels of President Biden last week signing into law the $61 billion aid package for Ukraine's defense, on top of the $26 billion that they're sending to Israel, who were like, don't genocide people with this money.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's a note on here. It's like, not for use of genocide.
Yeah. Be responsible.
Yes. Also, we're going to send $61 billion to Ukraine.
As they all waved Ukraine flags.
So after Biden signed this bill, Zelensky on Sunday indicated he's working with Washington on a bilateral security agreement that will last 10 years. So this doesn't even come from Biden. This is Zelensky.
Yeah, Zelensky said, hey, I appreciate all the money, but I got a better idea.
Yeah, can we like sign like a 10-year contract with this?
Yeah, just keep the money coming and we'll keep Russia at bay.
Right. We are already working on a specific text, Zelensky said in his nightly video address. Can you imagine a nightly video address from Zelensky? Imagine if Biden did like a fireside chats.
Nobody would tune in.
Jesus Christ.
Pause.
Our goal, Zelensky goes on and says, our goal is to make this agreement the strongest of all. You know what? He's wanting to get something concrete because he's tired of waiting for Congress to play this.
He's got salaries and pensions to pay,
right? And yachts to pay for, and freaking all sorts of shit. His dance classes,
right?
Who's gonna teach Zelensky who's gonna pay for his next music video in high heels and fishnets?
Yeah,
without our money.
And his wife needs a nice dress for the next Oscars.
It's true.
So.
We are discussing the specific foundations of our security and cooperation. We are also working on fixing specific levels of support for this year and the next 10 years. He indicated it will likely include agreements on long-term support centering on military hardware and joint arms production, as well as continuing reconstruction aid. So not only are we paying for this war, we're going to pay to clean up after the reconstruction. That's horrible.
Yeah, because it worked great during the Civil War.
Well, just think about all the reconstruction plans that they have going on here, or like Haiti, or anywhere that we're like, hey, we can rebuild that.
Well, but that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. That's hey, Clinton's. You want to have a shot at Ukraine?
The Clinton Foundation. Let's get them in there.
Let's lots of vulnerable children for you.
Bankrupt your economy because of all these corporations that are going to be the ones, like their contractors who are going to be doing the work. All your poor farmers, they're not going to be able, they're not even going to have to farm anymore because we're going to subsidize all your crops. We're going to subsidize all the freaking construction, all the production, everything.
Yeah.
You guys would make great laborers if you need a job.
Yeah.
Just it's freaking awful.
It's asinine.
This whole thing is fucking awful. It says he indicated it will likely include long-term support centering on military hardware and joint arms production, as well as continuing reconstruction aid. The agreement should be truly exemplary and reflect the strength of American leadership. Zelensky said,
"Kiss that ass."
You could be the greatest leader of America.
Go down in history
if you continue to pay for my yacht.
Yeah.
But ultimately, a key purpose in locking such a long-term deal in would be to keep it immune from potential interference by a future Trump administration. So this is what the Wall Street Journal says. This isn't just Zero Hedge saying this. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal. The goal is to make sure Ukraine will be strong enough in the future to deter Russia from attacking it again. More immediately, Ukraine's Western allies hope to discourage the Kremlin from thinking it can wait out the Biden administration for a potentially more sympathetic successor in the White House. I mean, they're spelling it out. They're like, we want to make sure like Trump can't touch this. He can't just come in and be like, no, this war is too expensive.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this war.
I'm cutting funding. I'm pulling all the troops back.
I never liked Ukraine in the first place.
Yeah, right. Went there once for a golf course.
I went there once, and look at all the shit I got in from the one time I go to Ukraine. This is all on you. He's got he's got a vendetta now against Ukraine.
Hooker wasn't even a woman.
Turned out to be Zelensky.
Yeah.
Western officials are looking for ways to lock in pledges of support and limit future governments' ability to backtrack amid fears in Europe or European capitals that Donald Trump, if he recaptures the White House, would seek to scale back aid. Trump has a wide lead. This is still the Wall Street Journal. Trump has a wide lead in early polling in Republican presidential primary, but soundly lost the 2020 election. Soundly
lost.
The 2020 election to President Biden has been indicted in 4 criminal cases in state and federal courts. What does that have to do with any of this?
I know. Whose side are they on?
Other than the fact that, like, we want to make sure Trump can't ruin this thing we got going on. Biden's sitting back there like, dude, this is my retirement plan.
Yeah.
What happens when I leave office?
Yeah.
This is Hunter's like cocaine fund.
Yeah. This is
his hooker fund.
Hunter's running for president here in like 10 years. He needs this money.
Stop it. It's like, who's going to support us if we lose Ukraine?
Yeah.
We lose that money laundering scheme. What if Trump comes in and nixes our scheme we got going on here? Let's sign a 10-year deal.
Yeah. And then it's exemplary American leadership.
Yes.
And he can't break it.
Yep. We and others have previously underscored that NATO and G7 countries are desperately trying to Trump-proof future aid to Ukraine in the effort to counter Russia.
Fuck them.
As for its first new weapons package, the wake of the $61 billion being authorized, the Biden administration has announced a new arms package totaling $7 billion. So on top of the $61 billion. The U.S. has vowed to rush weapons to Kiev, given that by all indicators, its forces are not doing well on the front lines. So why are we propping up a fail? I mean, we do it for the banks. We do it for our economy. I mean, we just prop up failing things.
Yeah.
But we're doing it. They're like, if we don't keep sending this money, they're going to lose the war.
Right.
And we don't want them to lose the war.
The war's already lost.
Right. So $7 billion more dollars. The U.S. vowed to rush more weapons to Kiev. Now, I wanted to point out, I intentionally continue to use the pronunciation of Kiev instead of Kyiv because the Ukrainians use Kyiv and the Russians use Kiev, and it's more
you're a sympathizer.
I'm a sympathizer, so it's more just to piss people off. Just want to point that out. So if you're like, it's Kyiv, it's like, no, it's not. The Soviet Union called it Kiev, and they were originally part of the Soviet Union. I don't really give a shit. We are still waiting for the supplies promised to Ukraine. Here's fucking Zelensky.
Oh, yeah.
Getting his panties in, like he's getting antsy here.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for supplies promised to Ukraine. We expect exactly the volume and content of supplies that can change the situation on the battlefield in the interest of Ukraine. He's like, come on, bitches, where's my money?
Yeah.
It's important that every agreement we have reached is implemented. He's really fucking demanding.
He's a pain in the ass.
He's so demanding for a guy that we're just like literally like holding him up.
Yeah, he's not even as cool as Bibi.
Right. Everything that will yield practical results on the battlefield and boost the morale of everyone on the front lines. Is that hookers?
Hey guys,
like what are we talking about?
Blow.
Yes. In a conversation with Mr. Jeffries, I empathize the need for Patriot systems. They are needed as soon as possible. Now, apparently, people are pushing, I think it was like Greece and some other countries that have like very limited Patriot systems. Like, you need to send those to Ukraine. They need it more than you do. And they're like, what if we need it? It's like, you don't need it as bad as Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's like, give up your fucking weapons.
Yeah.
It goes on to say, all of this means the war will be prolonged, and this puts negotiations much further away on the horizon, despite what are now daily acknowledgments of Ukraine forces being beaten back. Currently, governments of Greece and Spain are being pressured by the EU and NATO leadership to hand over the few Patriot systems they possess to Kiev. The rationale is they don't need them as urgently as Ukraine does. What happens when they give them up and Russia's like, fuck it, I'll just attack Greece.
And be like, take this, motherfucker.
Attack Spain. I don't know how we're getting there, but we're going to attack Spain. So there's that. What do you think
that
of
pisses
this
me off.
10-year deal.
Let's make it locked tight so legally so nobody can
like,
back
let's put
on
it in our constitution.
Yeah, right.
Why don't we
right.
just sign a constitutional amendment
Let's
that's like
make an amendment.
we're going to definitely support
Yeah.
Ukraine
Yeah.
and their plight against Russia. They're
just make it the fucking 51st state, right?
It's interesting you say that.
Mm.
It's interesting you say that because Representative Biggs
Fucking Biggs
has come out. He's pissed off about all this.
Oh.
And he says pretty much we're trying to make Ukraine the 51st state. He basically said, well, what is this? The fucking 51st state? I mean, no, because if it was the 51st state, we wouldn't be sending it shit. We'd be sending that somewhere else. Because what state do you know, besides maybe California or New York, that's getting $60 billion in freaking aid?
Maybe. Hold on. We send all the illegal immigrants over there.
I mean, there you go.
Right?
Why not?
I say let's do it.
President Joe Biden last week signed a $95 billion aid package that includes $61 billion for Ukraine after Congress approved a package of bills splitting the Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan aid components with support of the House Speaker Mike Johnson. Arizona Republican Representative Andy Biggs on Monday fumed over reports that Washington was working with Ukraine on a 10-year aid plan, even after it approved the $61 billion aid package. It's like, when is enough,
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah. They're not going to win the fucking war.
Ukrainian President Zelensky this week revealed that his government was working on a bilateral security agreement that would fix specific levels of support for this year and for the next 10 years. I didn't know that we were trying to annex Ukraine as a 51st state, said Biggs on the John Solomon podcast. I mean, this is how absurd this has become. You know, we've spent something like 42. All right, so I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars we're at. 42% of that has actually gone to the military. I don't know if you knew that. It's supposed to be military aid, right? He goes on to say the rest has gone to supply their pensions, their farm subsidies, their government operations. A significant portion of it's just gone to the wind. We have no idea where it went. The same with some of the material. Now, I think we talked about this. Like, we've sent them like twice as much as their like actual GDP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, maybe don't start wars that you can't afford.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like they can't even afford to run their own fucking government or their own freaking country. And it's like, we're not just supporting the war. We are literally holding their whole country up.
Yes.
Why are we sending farm subsidies to Ukraine?
Yeah.
Why are we subsidizing Ukraine's failing farming economy?
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't get me wrong. I have an issue with us subsidizing our own farming community. It's like, capitalism is capitalism. It should. First of all, we produce way more fucking farming goods than we should be.
Yeah.
Because we send most of it to other countries and make a fortune off of it. Or we turn it into biofuel, which is shit product anyway.
Right.
Or we turn it into freaking, I don't know, like fake meat and shit like that.
Yeah.
Turn it into corn syrup,
right?
All that
soy
stuff.
oil,
soy oils, all that, all the stuff, all the poisons we put in our body,
all the stuff giving everybody cancer.
But the majority of the stuff, the majority of it doesn't stay here, or it just like, I don't know, it just gets stashed for future use or something. Subsidizing ours, I have a problem with that. Subsidizing another country that's not even technically an ally. Why the fuck are we doing this? Why are we paying for your freaking pensions? I don't give a shit if you retire or not.
I don't even want to
don't have a pension.
No, I don't have a pension. I don't want to pay for our own politicians' pensions, let alone some other country's pensions.
Can I just keep my money and pay for my own retirement?
Yes.
Not Zelensky's or whoever his money laundering freaking
his yachts. I don't have a yacht. Shit. I don't even have a rowboat.
And that's just the money we know about.
Yeah, right.
And the equipment we know about. Like, there's a giant, and we've talked since this whole thing kicked off. There's like a huge percentage of money and weapons that just doesn't exist.
Right.
Like I read about some drone parts that turned up that we gave these drones to Ukraine, and somehow these parts ended up on Russian drones.
Yeah.
So some Ukrainian was taking apart and selling our equipment to the people that are supposed to be fucking fighting.
Does
him
it surprise you?
No, not at all. Says, I mean, I thought that the Democrat-Republican coalition that Speaker Johnson put together, I thought they gave us an outrageous product a week or so ago. And I would just tell you, it takes amazing chutzpah on the part of Zelensky to come back and say, oh, we're going to do this again for 10 years. Wait, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I want to know, what does Zelensky have over all these governments? Like, maybe there really are like bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine that he's been hiding. And he's like, look, if you guys don't pay me, I'm just gonna let everybody know what you guys doing.
Or it's just been like the money laundering hotbed of the freaking world.
It's just ridiculous.
It's kind of like what's the island place? The Caymans.
Yeah, right.
Where everybody knows that people launder money through it, from billionaires to politicians. That's where they launder money. What I think that's probably Ukraine. Like, a lot of shady shit just funnels through Ukraine.
Yeah.
And like, that's what he's got on them. It's just like, well, I mean, you could give me more money.
Right.
But we don't have it. Or I could just tell them where the money's been going.
Right.
I could tell them where your money's been going. I could tell them where freaking Britain's money's been going. I could tell them where I don't know about Italy, France's money's been going. I could tell them where all your money's been going, bitches.
Yeah. I could tell them where the Nazis came from.
Yeah.
Right.
I could tell them where the Nazis have been hiding for all these. I could tell them how I got this position of power in the first place.
Yeah.
I could tell them so many things.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's like he's got them hostage. Like, he can blackmail the shit. I mean, it's got to be. That's got to be.
Yeah. Because why? Otherwise, just fucking take them out.
I mean,
put somebody else in power.
Just look at freaking Biden. Like, how much damage would it do for Zelensky to come out and be like, yeah, that shit that Trump was investigating, that he threatened to withhold money, that actually happened. Hunter was setting up shady shit, and Biden was taking a cut from it.
Right.
I've got all the documentation. I got pictures. I've got all this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, how damaging would that be after like 7 years now of them being like, oh, that never happened. Trump was just blah, 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 and Trump impeached and blah, blah, blah. Zelensky's like, dude, I got you.
And then be like, in the Obama administration, they did this, and the Clintons came in and did this. And I mean, then the whole thing would be shit.
I mean, I'm sure they've all done it. I'm sure it's Republicans or maybe the Republicans haven't been able, maybe they haven't let them in on that. And that's why the Republicans are
Republicans now are like, okay, now let's start.
It's like, wait, you've been making money off this shit?
Right?
They're like, we're going to withhold money from you now. It's like, what are you going to do? Release information about the Democrats? That's fine. You either let us in on this or release information about the Democrats, and then we win either way. So I don't think that the Republicans are like, we got to end this money laundering. No, it's like, dude, you've been holding out on us this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Probably because he doesn't like Trump. I don't know. Trump probably had the thing against him because he didn't let him set up a hotel or something.
Yeah, right.
So that's Ukraine in a nutshell. Like, I don't know how much shit goes on through there, but I know they have a history of money laundering. So, you know, it's not like, hey, first of all, how hard would it be to just freaking audit the shit that we're setting there?
Yeah.
It's like, give us a receipt of what you paid for.
Yep.
It's like any business, any business you work for. It's like, hey, here's some money. Go buy a freaking computer or something. Make sure you bring back the receipt.
Right. Yeah.
So I know what you spent. That's not a lack of trust thing. That's just like, make sure your shit's all together.
Right.
Make sure somebody can't come after you. But nobody asked for a fucking receipt from Zelensky every time we send him $67 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, can you prove where this money's going? It's like, dude, we're running out of money. Well, what'd you spend that money on? It's like, I'm not going to tell you. We just are out. You know, like rockets. Well, how many rockets? How many did you send us? It's like, wait.
Yeah.
You didn't spend money on rockets because we sent you the rockets.
Right.
So what'd you spend the money? Well, tanks. No, we sent you the tanks.
Right.
Infrastructure. Well, your infrastructure looks like shit. So where's the receipt? Like, where's this money going? Like, there's got to be a way to audit this.
Like, okay, so we got, let's see, you put gravel down on roads, you put refugees in tents. What is this Fun Finder yacht
Right.
That's a battleship.
Obviously, it's a warship. Yes. Fighting the Russians, one hooker at a time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
I mean,
not only should our government get receipts, that should be like public domain.
Oh fuck yeah.
That should be on a public on whatever.
Yeah.
UnitedStates.gov or whatever. We should be able to see exactly what our Ukrainian funding went to.
Yeah.
Down to the freaking nickel.
Yeah.
And if you can't account for it, you don't get money until you account for it. Or let's say you're you can't account for $100,000 this time. Next time you're short $100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, next time, you're short $1 million. Oh, you're short. Like eventually, if they're not accounting for the fucking money, stop sending them the money. If they say they need this so badly, then start keeping receipts of what you need this shit for.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have receipts and they just don't want us to know about it, about what it's actually getting spent on. That's probably highly likely too.
Well, Mr. Joe Biden, we gave you back $20 billion.
It's like, what are you talking about? There's $10 million went to the freaking blue fund or whatever. What was that?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. And we bought 20 of Hunter's pictures.
Yeah, right. Got them all over. We've got a lot of stock in FTX. We've got
right.
I don't know.
But I mean, what the hell do we do? I mean, it's like, okay, our fucking tax dollars, we're paying $4 for a carton of eggs.
And that's the other fucking thing that pisses me off. It's like these Congress people that are making these policies are supposed to be doing so in the interest of their constituents. How many people do you know now that still support the Ukrainian war?
Right. Yeah.
And Congress keeps dishing out billions of dollars. It's like, well, we can't stop now.
Right. Right.
It's like, you guys want us to. It's like, but we don't.
Yeah.
We really don't.
Yeah.
But this is what you elected me for. But it's not. We're telling you, please stop.
Yeah.
Stop sending them money. Yeah. Probably 60% of the people, 70% supported it at the beginning, had Ukrainian flags wrapped around their freaking profile picture, all this shit.
Right.
Not anymore. We're asking, where's the money going? Until you can tell us, stop sending money. It's like, you're our constituents. We follow you, but we're going. This is inflation thing's not that big a deal, but we're going to send $67 billion to freaking Ukraine. And then sign a 10-year contract.
Right. Right.
So that way, if you have the audacity to decide you're not acting in my best interest as my direct representative, we're going to vote you out. The policy's already been made, signed for 10 years. So
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter now.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is.
I mean, it upsets me greatly.
No, me too. Me too.
Derek says our own DOD can't keep track of its own receipts. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And like $6 billion decides to go missing right before freaking government, like these two towers decide to collapse, and another one that has probably all the receipts in it gets hit. It just decides to fall down too.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
Yeah. It's a shit show.
20 years later, it's like, we're still short $6 billion, guys.
Yeah.
Time for another tower to fall down. Do we have any more planes? Well, we can.
Fortunately, Boeing's just happened to fall apart, so they'll just
right, exactly. But we can't really depend on Boeing to cut through a steel structure when it can't cut through the air without falling apart. How are we going to play that off? Our hands are tied, guys. Let's just say we sent it to Ukraine.
Yeah,
that's probably it. It's like every time the DOD loses money, they're like, we sent it to Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
That's why Zelensky's over there. It's like, you guys keep saying you're sending me this money. Where's this money at?
Right. I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's a shit. Like, nothing is what they're telling us what it is.
No,
absolutely
not.
nothing.
It's not.
None of it is. And Putin's over there like, I don't know what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Russia's probably not even fighting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're probably not even there.
Yeah, never been there. They're like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Invading Ukraine.
What is this, Joe? Let's just play along with this and see how see how this plays out.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know. This whole thing pisses me off, though.
No, me too. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all the taxes going to these countries, and then illegal immigrants coming in, and then local taxes are going up, and it's like it's all a shit show.
Freaking grocery. I mean, it was I saw like a pack of chicken for like $20 the other day. I'm just like, this is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah,
spent like $45 just buying shit to make my own tacos here.
Right. Yeah,
it's like it's insane. But here, let's sign 10 years to Ukraine.
Oh well, and and then locally with the school, it's like, well, we had to cut 50 positions, and we have to cut our budget by $2.5 million because enrollment's down. Thanks a lot, guys. And it's like, well, you just built a new tennis facility and you're building a new administrative building. What the fuck you getting that money from? Right. It's like, it's just the whole thing just
government efficiency for you.
Yeah.
At its finest. You know how you solve the war in Ukraine? You stop sending them money.
Yep. Yeah.
The war would end.
It'll work
overnight.
Out.
The war would end over fucking night if
Zelensky
we
would drop to his knees and be like, we're so sorry,
we're
Mr.
done.
Putin.
We're done.
You take whatever you want. We're going to come over here.
Yeah, we're done.
We won't even think about NATO.
I don't freaking care what.
I don't
honestly, I don't. I feel bad for the people, the Ukrainian people. But as far as like.
But it's their own government doing it.
Yeah.
No,
I know. It's not. I mean, we can't be held responsible for every country whose government sucks.
Yeah. We know.
We can't even be responsible for our own government that sucks. I don't know. It's all a joke.
It is.
I think I've ranted enough about this. Do you got any final rants on Israel or Ukraine? I gave myself a headache on that one.
Yeah. No, it all sucks, and it's like, we just need to just stop paying taxes until they stop sending money to other people.
They can't arrest us all.
That's right. I
tried saying that, like, I worked for Dish for 1.5 years, and everybody, like, the company just started to suck.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a different job, and there's probably 4 or 5. There's probably only like 20 techs total in this small outfit, this like regional office here, and there was probably like 7 or 8 of them that were like, dude, this organization sucks. It's like, I'm quitting. If we all quit, if we just quit one at a time, they're gonna just come and replace us one at a time. It's not gonna hurt them. If 7 or 8 of us walk out now, it's gonna majorly hurt them, and then they're gonna have to fucking change. It's the same with taxes. If you stop pay, if I just decide to stop paying my taxes, but a bunch of people don't, then I just go to jail.
Right.
But if we all stop paying our taxes, they can't arrest us all.
Right. Yep.
And what are they going to do? I mean, they're going to roll over us with tanks. If we're not paying our taxes, they can't afford to fucking fuel the tanks. So we're good.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's really our only strategy is for everybody to stop paying taxes. And we'll probably go get arrested for just saying that. Like, I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you're going to arrest me for doing something awesome, not not something stupid.
Yeah. Inciting revolution is
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
in
I
my opinion, that's pretty freaking awesome. So that's all I got. I don't know. We gotta get rid of these stupid taxes.
We do. We gotta get rid of these stupid politicians.
Yeah,
sending money to other
corporations.
Get
rid of all of it.
Yep.
Yeah, just start
all the institutions. Get rid of all the institutions.
Buy from your local shops.
Yep.
Stop paying taxes. Support each other. Not.
Yeah.
It's a freaking monster that this has become, and everything will be fine.
People will step up.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it might hurt for a while.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we'll be a better. We'll come out better and stronger for it.
Yes.
That's all we have. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. You can find us at our handle at Break the Bill Pod. Make sure you be back here. I think next Monday we should be here.
I'll be here next Monday. Yeah.
I think I'm here next Monday.
Is that Cinco de Mayo?
Is it?
I think so.
We should celebrate that.
We should.
We'll be back here. Make sure you invite your friends and your families and stuff, and tell them as well to stop paying their taxes. And let's just spread this massive not paying our taxes.
Start the movement. Don't pay your taxes.
Yes, let's start it. Let's get something going here.
Yeah, something's got to change.
We can't do it alone, guys.
That's
we
right.
can't do it alone. We'll just be in jail. So
that's right, and that would suck.
That would kind of suck. And your taxes would be paying for our jail.
Us to be in jail.
Yes, exactly. And you don't want that.
No.
I don't want you to pay for me.
No.
Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Goodbye. Maybe. I don't know. Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.